Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Halalsnackpack, the show where we talk about Muslim matters, topics and snacks, all wrapped up in a nice little pack. Today we'll be talking about revert aftercare, basically what happens after someone takes their shahada or their declaration of faith. These are many like do's and don'ts. Just ask, is anything I can help with?
Sometimes when someone takes their shahada at a mosque or in a public setting, the Muslim community will celebrate them and be happy for them, which is what you should be doing. But oftentimes after the dust settles and the fanfare kind of goes away, you kind of just walk away from the new Muslim and leave him or her in the new state. So we welcome a brother or a sister to Islam and we always say, oh mashallah, you're like a newborn baby, you're like a child, you're so pure. Which is true. When you convert to Islam, all of your previous sins will be wiped clean. It's a clean slate. You'll be clean from any sin, essentially. But in that same reasoning, would you ever leave a newborn baby alone?
Cute little baby.
Yeah.
Bye. Just walk away.
Yeah. You wouldn't leave a child alone to fend for himself. You would teach them things, you would show them things and make them understand why you do certain things. Because there's so much information now that it can be very overwhelming for a new Muslim, a new revert, to kind of process. It's not always just about the shahada. It's not just about the quantity. It's also about the quality. If we don't give them that support as a Muslim community, it's going to be very difficult for them to integrate as well as to learn from the correct sources.
Again, when you just convert and you have this clean slate, you're being told that you're like a newborn baby and, you have no sins now. You're even more terrified of making a mistake because you have such a clean slate. I think it's very easy for new Muslims to just choose whatever sounds the strictest because that might be right or that might be the best way. When in reality, if there's difference of opinion of certain things, which is both are accepted, so you don't have to choose the one that might make things a bit more difficult for your life, especially in this starting, phase. It makes you very afraid of messing up because you're a newborn baby.
We shouldn't assume that they always have a support system, that they have, they must have some Muslim friend group, or maybe, they have really easy access to their local masjid. We should always be proactive in reaching out and talking to them. Sometimes it can be a bit difficult for anybody for that matter. Like, let's just remove the revert part. It might be difficult for someone to ask for help in anything, whether it's work, whether it's with family, whether it's like with your mental health. So we as Muslims, we should be the first to engage because a lot of times it's just them. Being a revert, it can be a very lonely path sometimes.
Yes. And from a revert perspective, when you do try to reach out and you do want to advise your new Muslim friends, make sure that you purify your intentions. I see, of course, a lot online about how people go forth about advising people. It comes off as very hateful, very holier than thou kind of thing, which is not what you want. But the way you speak, the way you say things, just be very careful. We are very vulnerable. We are very, it's everything is changing, and then you receive something that's very harsh or it sounds very negative or even hateful. It's not gonna help the reverts. Don't assume that the revert you're talking to don't have any knowledge. Like, if you're not sure and you don't know how you're going to offer help, just ask, is anything I can help with? Do you need anything? Anything really.
And this goes for all Muslims, revert or not. When we want to relay information or advise someone, we should always be teaching and not telling them. Even though it's a firm and maybe difficult topic, we should always approach it with gentleness. Just as a guideline, the brothers deal with the brothers and the sisters deal with the sisters. If anything, just to protect our haya and our intentions. We never know, sometimes a good intention can be colored and because of the whispers of the nafs or shaitan, it can turn that good intentions into bad intentions.
I see your DMs, so no thank you. Why are you coming into my DMs? Sending me photos of flowers and voice noting me. What the heck?
That's weird.
Astaghfirullah. What's your phone number? Yeah, someone sent me a photo of themselves and the mom, apparently.
Which kind of leads into our next topic, the etiquette of a Muslim. Even in advising, we have a proper etiquette in the way we walk, in the way we talk, in the way we eat. And all of these different etiquettes falls under fiqh.
Fiqh refers to the knowledge of Islamic jurisprudence. It relates to understanding and explaining the Islamic rules in the light of the Quran and Sunnah to guide the Ummah to the right path.
And this is what we mean when say Islam is very complete and all-encompassing. It relates to every aspect and facet of life in anything that you do or you say and how you act. You know, you have something within the Quran and the Sunnah to follow as a guide.
And this is where the big changes of converting to Islam, you know, having a life without any of these rules and guidelines, now this changes. You know, think, okay, yeah, for sure, I will start eating halal, I might dress in a different way, and you'll behave better. But there's one aspect that maybe not many think too much about, that you kind of have to, or you might have to change, which is hygiene. And it's kind of weird and it's kind of an awkward topic to talk about sometimes, especially in a like mosque setting, or you know, you feel very maybe a bit awkward for some people.
I think in short, this topic is either overlooked or oftentimes too awkward to bring up. So we'll do it. So what is it?
How do you wash your butt?
Islam places great emphasis on cleanliness and purification, both spiritually and physically. Society considers cleanliness as a good attribute, as a pleasing attribute, while Islam insists on it. And we are always encouraged to lead a clean, both physical and spiritually clean life. Then that's why we do wudu before we pray. We cleanse ourselves spiritually as well as physically before we pray and fulfill our salah.
So the issue of washing yourself after using the toilet is talked about, I would say, on social media, but it's not in a very beneficial way. The discussion is not, it's actually not a discussion. It's just hating on people who don't, say, use water. And it's not beneficial because no one's learning anything and people just feel like they're being shamed. So when I became Muslim, I was aware of this whole debate, I guess. To me, that was like, oh yeah, I have to start thinking about that now. I was aware of it, but some people are not. They don't know that that's actually a very important part of your daily life as a Muslim, to be fully clean and be, you know, in a wudu-friendly state.
And what we're referring to is called Istinja, which is cleaning yourself after a trip to the bath. Whether it's a number 1 or number 2, there's different ways, different methods, as well as different materials that we use that's acceptable within Islam to purify yourself with.
And by saying acceptable, we mean that you have to be fully clean everywhere. Because if you're not clean in the nether regions after a trip to the toilet, you won't have a valid wudu and you won't have a valid prayer. And that's very serious. And of course, this is, if you do this and you're not aware because you're new Muslim, don't worry about it. We're not being judged by what we do not know, but now you will know. So I'm sure everyone has heard about the water versus toilet paper debates. It is not haram, or it's not impermissible to use toilet paper, but it is very much recommended to use water afterwards to make sure, water and soap if you've done number 2. Is very much recommended because then you will know that it is properly cleaned. The same way when you go out, step in dog poop with your bare feet, it's a nice summer day, yuck, right? You go inside, what do? You take a...
Hand me the tissue paper.
Yeah, do you take a tissue paper and just wipe it off? No, you wash it with water and soap, and the same applies here. And especially for us ladies, we have our own ecosystem, you know, different than the men, and using water is way more gentle than just using paper. The skin is very delicate, it gets dry. The tissue paper or the toilet paper can also have chemicals like bleach, which can interrupt our flora. And water is just, it's friendly. It's friendly. It's water. It's pure. So
it's friendly.
It's friendly. It's halal friendly, I was gonna say. You feel a lot cleaner and it's more gentle.
I was picturing a rainforest when you said ecosystem. Do you know that more than 20% of the world's oxygen is produced in the Amazon rainforest?
Okay. And we're not going to say these things without actually teaching you. There won't be any live demonstrations. Okay.
Unfortunately.
Fortunately, there won't be any live demonstrations. But okay, water.
But
wow. But no pun intended. Water. How to use water after going to the toilet. And this is going to be very basic for those who know, of course, but that's what we're doing. We're talking about the basic stuff that some reverts or some new Muslims or non-Muslims might not actually know about. Like, I'm serious. I didn't know about this when I was younger because I live in a different world, different society. Yeah. So basically, how to use water after using the toilet. You have several options. If you're able to, you can install or even screw on like a cheap, like a hose, like a bidet hose. Shower. You can just use the spray. You don't have to use your hands. If you have to use your hands with water and soap, which is also fine to do because you're washing your hands afterwards either way, you can use a lota, which looks like to me when I saw it in someone's bathroom.
It's just basically a watering can.
I thought it was like, oh, they have plants. They're just, watering the plants. I was looking for the plants, but I didn't see
Watering
any.
the rainforest.
Yeah, watering the rainforest, okay.
You call it different things, but essentially it's a vessel that contains water that you use.
Pour.
You pour it, Yeah. We can even use a water bottle.
I didn't have a watering can when I became Muslim, so use a bottle. So what you can use is a bottle with water and not, this is something else. This is a drink. Don't go into a Muslim bathroom and think it's a water bottle, like, ooh.
These Muslims really do know how to hydrate.
Yeah. So use a bottle, pour, and use your left hand to wash, to clean. That's also very important. You use your left hand to clean yourself with, because that is the... I'm like drinking it because that is the sunnah way.
Yeah. And of course, if you can afford, if you have the luxury to afford a bidet
and a plumbing system.
It's a bit more expensive, but it's literally hands-free, so you might want to look into that.
It can be very helpful.
Yeah.
And you can even get cheaper, like I mentioned earlier, you can get cheaper ones. You can just screw on the tap of either the sink or if you have a tub. If it reaches and it has the matching screws and whatnot. Yeah. So you might be thinking now, okay, I have that set at home, I have my water bottle or a bidet or whatever, but what do I do when I'm outside? So just bring a small bottle with you at all times, especially if you're gonna make wudu when you're outside, maybe you're at the office working or something. Bring a small water bottle that is specifically for that, so you have clean and water available. So funny story, after I converted and the first time my parents visited, after that I had to before they went to the toilet, there's a water bottle there, it's not for drinking, okay? I just have to make sure, I'll explain to you later, but it's not for drinking. So we're not saying that it's forbidden or haram to use toilet paper. You can start up the process with that if you wish, but just make sure to finish off with water in any way or form, and even soap. And it's weird to start thinking about that again as if you're a kid, because you're like, I learned this when I was 5, but now we have to think about it again. But it's normal, it's fine, we have all most likely been there.
Yeah. And when they say mashallah, like a newborn baby, I guess it applies to this as well. If there's anything you took away from this, is to...
Wash your butt.
Yeah, wash your butt.
With water and soap if you've done poo-poo.
Or pee-pee.
Well, water is pee-pee, and then soap as well with poo-poo.
Yeah. So on the channel, we talk about all different kinds of topics. Sometimes it's serious, sometimes it's not as serious. And sometimes we ask questions that impact the whole ummah. But one question that we really have to ask ourselves is, are soft cookies better than hard cookies? There you go.
Yeah. Snack mint.
This is the soft cookie. And sorry if we seem a bit different. I'm running a bit of fever and she's having a bad headache, so.
That sounds very minuscule compared to your fever right now.
Why?
Why?
Why? You notice a shift in energy? That's probably why. You have to answer the question. Oh, you dropped all the cookies.
Sorry.
Soft or hard cookies? So yeah, let's give it a try.
I'm already a fan of one of these. You know which one I prefer. I like both, though it's cookies, but I prefer one more over the other. And he prefers the opposite. So
depends, I guess.
Really?
Yeah.
You always go for the crunch, because I'm a soft cookie type. I like the chewy, the soft. It's so good. Yeah. Ooh, so soft.
Oh, that didn't break as well as I wanted it to. But yeah, you can tell it's chewy.
Thank you.
And Bismillah. Okay, or not.
Bismillah.
So without milk.
That's a bit of a crunch still.
Has a crunch on the edges, but in the middle, it's pretty soft and chewy. And they're two different recipes, by the way. Majority of it is very chewy in the middle. So yeah, I like it. It's good.
Yeah. Well, the soft ones are really, really good.
Yeah, I like them a lot.
I
Actually.
like the give.
Crunch.
It's not crunch. It's a bit of a crunch on the outside.
Sorry, yeah. I'm sorry, my brain is just everywhere.
No, but like it has a bit of a crunch, which I think soft cookies obviously still have a crunch because they're baked in the oven.
Cookies, yeah.
You know, but they're still soft on the inside.
They're really, yeah. This is like the perfect consistency, like crispy, a little bit crispy on the edges, but in the middle it's soft and chewy.
I mentally chose this one. Smooth. Ew. We just talked about hygiene.
I'm the sink here, so see, and I use water to see, it's wet.
You literally have like chocolate on your face, dude. Here.
It's much crunchier.
Ooh, look at that chocolate pocket.
Crunchy or chewy? I don't know, like, why not both? It's kind of like life, right? Sometimes you have to be hard and crunchy, and other times you have to be soft and tender. No, it's basically life. So cookies are basically life.
I was really wondering where you was going to go with that. You want to guess what I think?
I think you like the chewy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like these two, of course, but I don't know, I like the chewy. I don't like to chew as much. I don't know. Well, not chew, but it's crunchy, it's hard.
Sometimes you gotta be crunchy and hard. Sometimes you gotta be soft and tender. Life lessons, see? You're learning stuff. What? What do you say?
I'm sorry.
It's just a fever, I think.
What? So what do you prefer? Do you prefer soft and chewy cookies or a bit more crunchy, delicious cookies?
Yeah. Let us know.
Let us know. As always, we're not here to say one is better than the other. We just want to talk about food because food is life, and and it's nice to talk and eat and sharing it with you. So yeah, we want your opinion. Like honestly, we want your opinion. So.
Yeah, it's also in the name of the show,
Yeah.
like Halalsnackpack. This is a snack segment.
Snackment.
The snackment. There you go.
Yeah. Snackment. We hope you enjoyed the video and thank you for watching. See you later.
Assalamu alaikum.
Bye.